So the Igcse Sociology section on crime and deviance. It's all the same stuff as in ordinary GCSE, crime and deviance, and here's the extra bits. First extra bit, conformity, deviance, and cultural relativity. We've covered this. Deviance and crime is culturally relative. It means it depends on what your culture says. So in our culture, to go around in the street doing wench with your pants would be deviant. In some cultures, in the tropics, in hot countries, it would be normal. The Aztecs cut out human hearts. To them that was normal. To us that would be deviant. So cultural relativity, yeah? That's the first thing. Second thing is anomie. We've covered this, it's that idea where you have conflicting parts of the culture in your head. It's the conflict in your head caused by being socialized into a culture where some of the messages are in conflict with each other. And that causes almost a psychological problem for a person. So, for example, our culture says to be a success, you must have money, you gain high status, having money and wealth. And then it says to certain people, the working class, and you can't have it, tough, you're going to be poor. That creates anomie, a conflict within your head, two parts of your culture clashing and fighting. Now, to take it a bit further, there are 4 ways it is said that people solve this problem. There's the innovators, people who are professional criminals, bank robbers, people who grow weed in houses and to sell. They are innovators, you'd say. They have solved their anomie by getting around. They are becoming rich and gaining status. There's the retreatists, drug addicts. They've just given up. Drunks, drug addicts, people who sit in their bedroom playing World of Warcraft. They've just given up. They're the retreatists. There's the ritualists, people who have a job, let's say in a supermarket, and just go there. They don't care. It's a dead-end job. They just get on with it. They go through the motions. They stack the shelves. They don't really care. And then there's the rebels, revolutionaries, people who say this whole system's wrong. I'm going to get rid of your norms and values and have my own. So if you were a Marxist revolutionary, if you were a Muslim revolutionary, like the Islamic extremists, you might say they're rebels. Yeah. Moving on. IGCSE wants you to know a bit more than normal about what we call youth culture. And what we point out is that in all cultures there's a brief period, a couple of years, where deviance is actually encouraged or expected stroke allowed. So this girl here is Japanese. Japan is an extremely rigid culture, much more rigid than ours. The rules are much stronger. And yet, for a couple of years, it's perfectly acceptable for this girl to dress like this. It would be unacceptable for her to carry on doing this past her early 20s, but for a couple of years expected. You might have heard of the Amish in the States. So Amish people like this, they don't have electricity, they don't have cars, very strong Christians, and yet they have something called the Rumspringer. They chuck their kids out for a couple of years, and their kids smoke and drink and take drugs and have sex, and then, if they want, come back and become Amish and live like this the rest of their lives. So even very tightly controlled cultures, it's the same as ours. We expect our young people to be a little bit deviant for a while. Moving on. So many youth club cultures seem deviant. They see, oh, that's outrageous, they're deviant. But when you look at it much more closely, they are usually quite closely linked to the main culture. So let's look at hip-hop, black youth culture. A lot of it has been co-opted into the main culture. Think about the dominant values of hip-hop culture and black music. It's money and having stuff. That's the same as our culture. So yes, they have their own language and some of their behaviour we may regard as deviant, but it's not completely alien. So most youth cultures are in fact just extensions of the main culture. They're not radically different. They're just, for a couple of years, you behave a bit differently, but the way you're behaving is normally just an extension of the main culture. So also, sociologists have done a lot of work on how youth subcultures are often associated with crime and violence. And it's deviant. It is not new. So you had the Teddy Boys in the 1950s, followed by the Mods and the Rockers in the 60s, motorbike gangs. 70s, skinheads, racist violence. 70s as well, 60s, 70s, hippies with drugs. Punks with nihilism, which is against everything. Most recently, emos are such there with suicide and self-harm. So there's something about our culture where we are for a while always afraid of youth subcultures. It often crosses over into moral panics used by the mass media, but in fact none of these things ever really come to pass. They're never really anywhere near as serious as they're meant to be. They're just, like I said, for a couple of years people, deviance is encouraged or expected, stroke allowed.